Hello, Actor Sage here on the Sage channel, and I'm here today to show you guys the Industrial Cockpit One. This is a, industrial cockpit which has a relatively industrial silhouette. As you can see there, it's a bit more robust than many other cockpits you might have seen, and one of its main ideas is the fact that it should have a very high field of view. So if we were to actually go ahead and select our character right here and fly over and hop inside the thing and hold Alt, you can go ahead and look to our left, and so you can actually see pretty damn far to your left. We could use a few more windows to the back, but maybe in another variant, because like I said, this is Industrial Cockpit One. And of course to our right we have the same sort of view where you can look pretty damn far over to your right. You can of course also look up and have a pretty good view there, and for once in a cockpit you can look down, because this is a space-based game for the most part, and let's be honest, even whilst you are on planets, it's often useful to be able to actually see the ground down below you. So now we have a good view down towards the ground while still being able to look up as well. You might notice these blue lines here. I originally tried to have a hex grid pattern on all of the windows with a sort of light one on the inside and a darker one on the outside. Didn't exactly work to plan. We got these, but hey, if we ever figure that out in the future, you might find yourself with a very light hex grid pattern applied to all the glass on the thing. If we actually go ahead and pop back into Spectator 2, you'll be able to see that you can indeed actually see your character in the seat from afar. This is a relatively high poly cockpit, but I do have LODs for it, which currently, for the life of me, I spent 4 hours figuring it out. And failed to actually figure it out. It doesn't seem like LODs are currently working for mods, it would appear. I based it off of everything else I saw and I couldn't get it to duplicate. Anyway, there should be LODs, there's LOD models, so maybe hopefully in the future they'll start working. Anyway, if I was to actually go ahead and show you in here, you can see your hands do actually fit in here with minimal, if any clipping, and you'll see that we did have nice little armrests. In fact, we can hop out so you can see we even had nice little fabric-y armrests here, and you see these are colored green. Even all the sort of Dead Space inspired heavily ribbed backing here is all green, as well as, well, nothing else down there, but the outside is colored as well. That's because, of course, this whole thing can be colored, including all that fancy fabric. And you see, even if we fly all the way down here, the darker colors do actually color these, even though they do get a bit black washed out, and you can even have your sort of blood red if you were to so please. And you can see that really does get washed out, but you get closer, here's the fabric-y, sort of red right there on it. Also, because this cockpit does have glass pretty much all about it, you can actually fly your camera in here, and there should not be any notable world holes where you'll just see through anything here, because I wanted you to be actually be able to, I'll put the camera pretty much anywhere and still have a decent, well, not have everything falling apart, basically. Also, you'll notice that we do have these control panels, and let's go fly over here to a cockpit with slightly brighter colors, and you can see we have nice little control panels here, and even if we were to shut off our flashlight, these stay illuminated because they do have emissives, and they are sort of well thought out, or at least decently thought out. So you have system diagnostics here, select a system to check, you boop one of them, and the idea is it would change it all out. Unfortunately, none of that actually works, but I just wanted it to have some logic to it, and the top right button there is actually its sort of menu button to either go back or switch menus. And then of course I have a little something there because, it wouldn't be complete without that. I even have some different panels over here where we have a power button there on the left, and then communication system and another menu button. So the whole idea here is it's well enough thought through that if in the future you might actually use it, or at least when you're in your cockpit, you'd imagine that's where these are actually popping up and not necessarily just on your HUD. Because we have our channels, our intertext here thing, our send button, our connect, our silence, and our mute buttons. And of course connect would turn into a disconnect button if you had connected to any channels in the voice system. That's the idea behind it. None of this is interactive. I just wanted to show that it was all thought out. Also, something else in here, and let's go ahead and actually fly out and fly over to a better lit version over here. So that was on shadow basically, and this is in light. And let's actually do an F9 really quickly and move our character so we're not constantly seeing that sort of highlight thing there. There we go. And you'll be able to see here that even these little plastic control things here, I actually do have a texture on them. Even though you can't really see it, if you were to get close, you'll actually see this sort of little bumpety texture on them. So they are actually a plasticky, bumpety texture. And then of course all this shiny metal around the edges of it. And then these things here, these little connectors, are supposed to be mini pistons, so you could extend them or compress them to move these cylindrical things around from left, right, up, and down, and including forward and back. Main idea being here, and let me try to make sure I got this right in my head. In fact, let's bring our character over here and sit him in the chair. There we go. And we can actually use him to look around now. And the main idea is that on your left hand, you'd be able to push that controller forward, and it should track your just three-dimensional movement of forward to give you certain thrust forward. You pull it back to give you certain thrust back. You'd move it to your left to move your ship strafing to the left, to the right, up and down. None of this is animated. I just once again wanted to show that a lot of this was thought out. And also the one on the right would basically be if you were to take this controller and move it this way, it would turn your ship to the right, and move it to the left, it would turn your ship to the left, and up it would aim up, down it would aim down, and if you were to turn your hand, it would turn the ship like this. Or like this, you know, you get the gist of it. I also have a little green light there because I believe green is always on the starboard side and orange-ish, well, red is always on the port side, so I do have little tiny lights to indicate on that. Not on the outside, maybe another variant of the cockpit shall have that. I do plan to have fairly different variants of it, but some will be, well, similar, but just different window alignments because I would like the horizontal window here to be at your head height, which currently it's a little bit below it. Alrighty, that's enough of just the simples of it. What else do we have? I think I've explained the basic gist of it, including the fact that the arms in theory could, and unfortunately we are getting our selection thing. Oh, I bumped that light too. But the arms were actually designed so that they could flip up. None of this is animated, just showing once again I thought a lot of this through. The arms could flip up. These could retract in or out more to adjust the footing, and they do have their own little motors here so they could rotate about if need be. And you can see we do have lots and lots of metal because almost all of this in here is made out of metal, this plastic, or the fabric, whereas the outside is a painted exterior, so it's not quite as shiny as everything else. We also have this. What is this silly thing at the top? Well, this is a connection port, so we can actually fly up to this and interact with it, and look at that, you can actually access the inside of it. It should be a standard interior there when it comes to the amount of stuff it can hold. Standard cockpit interior, don't think it'll be anything special. And in fact, you can even access it from the back. In fact, if we were to go ahead and cut this free, there we go, and actually we're going to delete you and repaste you. You can see that the back of it does even have a connection area with a sort of custom conveyor set up, where at least the model and everything is custom there. A lot of smaller, finer details. Oh, and also this here, this is all just set up where you can see we can indeed go through that big pipe, through these, and then of course up into this, just to demonstrate that yes, indeed, all these conveyor systems do work. So if I was to go ahead and drag this into, we're going to select, what do we want to select? Cargo. So these small cargo containers, you can see that we can indeed drag it into those small cargo containers, which is dragging it through this pipe, up and around this, through this, into this, and then out into one of those. So it's definitely going through everything successfully. And again, we can just prove that right here, doing cargo, boop, success. Anyway, that's pretty awesome, I think. Everything seems to be working. When it comes to model placement on this cockpit, let's go ahead over to Hue, and in fact, let's just go ahead and grab a little red friend here and paste you just into the air. You'll notice that a large area of this cannot be placed upon, but you can place it upon any of these flat areas here. Can't place it over this one, but on the bottom you do have 2 spots forward. So placement in this is fairly logical when it comes to where you can and cannot place it. I did also allow you just to place over this because of course you would be blocking your connector, but why not? There's metal there, you've welded your connector shut. What else do we have on this? Well, nothing else, but just to demonstrate it in use, I believe. So we'll fly over here to this very odd hydrogen ship I've tossed together and just show you with its welders up and running. And what I find is really awesome is these, well, it feels like these are right at your sides now when those are firing. And of course we can actually look up and reasonably well actually see our welding array above and below. It's a little bit harder at the top. That one beam is in, well, perfectly the wrong spot, but at the bottom you can most definitely see it. We can turn those on, I believe, with our number 2 key, and then weld things up. And you can see now, you can get a better idea of how close you are to things, because you can of course just look right there at the damn thing. Small seam right there, unfortunately, in the texture, but I think it's something you're not going to hold against me too much, hopefully. Awesome. Well, anyway, guys, that is this cockpit. I hope you guys like it. I have one more thing to show you, and that's basically this cockpit, how it looks down on a planet. And boy, oh boy, do I like using it here. It's a lot easier, actually, for working on stuff like that. And to do that, let's actually go ahead and switch over. We'll fly down to the planet really quickly. And there we are. Same sort of platform, same everything, honestly. And have our character here. And now you just see how these look in the light of a planet, because let's be honest, things sometimes look a little bit different down here than they do up in the stars, but you can see relatively the same. And well, you do get some of that really awesome where you can see the red on the sides of these from the light bouncing off of everything. It's pretty damn cool, actually. I love it. I'm very happy with how most of the textures turned out. These are a little bit bland, these metal here, but you can see if you get close, that it is indeed metal. It's a bit sharp. I have a lot of beveled edges on the things. All that goes away if the LODs would work. So, once then, the polys aren't going to be permanently killing you. Anyway, guys and gals, that is that. I hope you like this thing. It should be up on the Steam Workshop right now, so you can go ahead and grab it. One last thing before I go, though, I would indeed like to thank 4 people who have made sure this mod would be out now and not in 3 months or 4 months or never. And that would be, and I'll actually go ahead and show you guys the construction states. Right here, these are the 3 construction states. The one on the far right is closed off. That way you can apply. The glass is being added. That way we don't have 200 construction states with 1,000,001 polys just showing this appearing. It's all closed off in that one, the very final construction state. Anyway, those people I was about to thank and got distracted because I realized I was leaving these out are Jeffrey R. I'm not going to say the full last name just for privacy reasons, but recently gave me a little bit of funds on my PayPal. There's a donation link in the bottom down there. These people, without you, I wouldn't have gotten to this mod nearly as quickly as I did because, well, it takes time away from making videos, and of course, if I'm not making videos, I'm not making money, and then all of a sudden my student loans are sneaking up on me, so big thanks to Jeffrey R. Also, we have Matt H, who on my Patreon is giving me a few bucks there. I have a monthly cycle thing set up there, where I've been posting images of this mod as it's been coming along on my Patreon account. Once again, in the donation sections down below, if you want to help me out and also see what I'm working on, I'll try to, whenever I'm doing anything with this, any mod, I'll try to be posting up there. So yeah, big thanks to you, Matt H, and also, you were posting on a bunch of those things I was posting up there, so it was nice to have somebody to talk to or at least see people commenting on it. Awesome, thank you a whole bunch. We have Peter M, who I believe was the very first person to give me any PayPal donation at all. I hadn't even mentioned it in a video, and he tossed me one even because it was just in the description, I guess. Big thanks. I was actually pretty down in the dumps with money getting a bit short, and when I saw that, and I knew that, people are caring, we're going to get these mods done, we're going to keep on going, and we're going to get stuff done. Oh, and also, Roderick, I believe. I'm not sure if there's another last name equipped with that. That was on Patreon. Just recently gave some, and yes, you're right, that chair is inspired by Dead Space. I started working on the chair just after I started playing Dead Space 1 again. A whole bunch of fun. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you a bunch for watching. If you would like to go ahead and fund me to continue creating more of this mod and other mods, there is a link down in the description below to my Patreon, a PayPal link if you just want to directly donate, or, remember, there's a Patreon where you'll actually be able to see me posting things every couple days or so whenever I make progress on these things. And of course, when you do that, it reminds me that, my god, I have to actually succeed in getting these mods done because there's people that are giving me money to get things done, dang it! Anyway, thank you once again for everybody watching. Thank you to those guys who have supported me, and I shall see you all next time. Ta-ta.